Hey guys, so in this video today I wanted to share with you a secret formation that not many people use, but it is super useful, and it is the 4-4-1-1. Now this is a formation that I discovered a couple of years ago and I really got to grips with using it, and it is just a great formation. And the reason why it is so good and I find it to be so effective is because it's really tough to play against. Whenever I play people that use this 4-4-1-1, it is very difficult to break down because there's not a lot of space. It's not like a 5-back formation, somebody playing part of the bus, low depth. It's just tough to break down. There's not a lot of space in the lines. And for me personally anyway, I like to play a lot of my FIFA through the middle of the pitch. And this is one of those formations that's really tough to play. There's not a lot of gaps in that midfield. So if you're someone that really struggles, you know, in terms of defending, if you give away a lot of chances, I know for me, generally the middle of the pitch is the most open because of my play style. So I get a lot of bodies forward in the middle, but I also then leave a lot of space. So it's just a really good formation to attack with. It's a really good formation to defend with, and it's really just very well balanced. And that's one of the reasons why I love this formation. So as always, show your support. Make sure you drop a thumbs up, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and make sure you click that notifications bell so that you know when we release new videos. So I'm going to start with the instructions, because I think the instructions for me I find are way more important in sort of tactics and instruction videos. I find the instructions are far more important than tactics whenever I'm playing. I tend to build out the instructions first and then leave the tactics for afterwards. So of course, the striker and the centre forward, you want both of these guys on stay central and get behind. Of course, you want two guys that have got pace. You want two guys that can really work off each other. That's really important. Forlan and Bertrand, both not like super rapid. You know, they're not Mbappe's, not Ala Wire-Rans or players like that. But they're both pretty quick. They're both extremely good finishers. They both score a lot of goals for me. So you need guys that really are quite similar and that can work off each other. You know, a lot of people like to maybe use one striker that's big, one striker that's fast. I like to use basically two strikers that are the same. You know, they can work off each other. And Forlan and Bertrand, you want two players like that that can link up, because these two are very important. They score probably 80% of your goals. So you need two guys that are really confident in finishing. You know, maybe 5-star weak foots now, if you can get them, is super important. It gives you that advantage. But you need two guys that can work off each other, because that's really what they do. They need to link up. Then moving to the two central midfielders, obviously got Thuram and Fofana. These sorts of guys are the sort of guys you want. You don't want defensive midfielders. You don't want attacking midfielders. You know, kind of... You want box-to-box midfielders, maybe a little bit more defensively minded than offensively minded. Obviously, Thuram and Fofana do that job very well. Both, you know, can get forwards. They can create chances because they need to have good passing. A lot of the times, these guys get into positions where they need to play maybe 15 to 20 yard through balls to Bertrand, to Mane, to, you know, your right midfielder, whoever that may be. So these guys need to have decent sort of short mid passing, because that's where they do a lot of their jobs. And also the defensive side is really important because they need to be able to break up play and really sustain those attacks. Obviously you have that compact midfield, so they've got to have good interceptions. When the AI is controlling them, they want to have good interceptions, you know, be tall so they have a good reach. So you want sort of defensive, maybe slightly more defensively minded midfielders, but not like out and out defensive midfielders either. Then when it goes to the wide players, obviously Mane and Van der Sar, these guys need to be quick. So of course we've got them on getting behind, we've got them on get into the box, we've got them on free roam as well. So sometimes I want them to drift inside, which means they're going to take advantage of any space that, you know, appears between centre back and full back. So you want guys on free roam. Obviously then you need that pace so they have the speed to get in behind. And obviously, as we just talked about previously, your two midfielders need to be able to play those through balls when they do make those runs in behind, whether it's through balls, over the top, or on the ground. And then, of course, when it comes to the whole of the back four, in this case, when you have left and right midfielders, I always say you don't need your fullbacks to get forwards. Of course, when I play the 5-back formation, I have the fullbacks on join the attack, because they're the ones that provide the width. But in this formation, you have width with Mane, you have width with Van der Sar. The left and right midfielders provide that width, so the fullbacks don't need to. So therefore, you can have them on stay back while attacking, which gives you another plus, because it means you're a lot less easy to score against. There's not as many chances. You haven't got fullbacks out of position. A lot harder for people to break you down. And of course, the keeper, as always, is on comes for crosses and sweeper keeper. So there are the instructions. Let's move on into the tactics. But before we move on into the tactics, if you're enjoying the video, make sure you do drop a thumbs up, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and make sure you click that notification bell so that you don't miss any future videos. So let's get into those tactics. And these are the tactics that I prefer to use for the 4-4-1-1. So of course, as always, I like to use defensive style on balance. I don't really like to go on anything more than that, especially at this time of year. Everybody's got really good teams. You know, generally the skill is a lot higher at this time of the year. A lot of, maybe some of the more casual players aren't playing. You've got sort of the hardcore players playing right now. So I don't recommend going on anything that's going to leave you more exposed than you need to be. The rest of our instructions are going to do a good job of creating chances. Of course, width, I like 45 just because I prefer to have a slightly narrow width. I don't mind people going out wide. I know people like to go out wide, use pace. Obviously look for cutbacks, but for me, I always prefer to, I think it's way more important to have the middle of the pitch more on lockdown rather than let people have a little bit of space out wide, you know, unless they're going to be extremely good with their dribbling, their L1R1 dribbling. It's going to be a little bit harder for them to get those cutbacks against us. And I like to have the depth on around about 60. Whilst I say with this formation, it is generally the aim of this formation is still to try and control the game. You know, you still want to try and control possession. You still want to try and have more of the ball. So again, I'm naturally going to have a slightly higher width to be able to do that, to make sure I try and, you know, have more of the ball in the final third. You know, of course, the way I like to play, I'm always going to get countered a little bit. But if you are someone that does like to play that sort of style, it's always better to play a slightly higher depth, so that you can control the game in their, you know, third of the pitch rather than have lots of possession in your third. And then obviously it makes it much easier for people to press you and get the ball off you. And then the most important thing with the tactics, of course, is that combo of the build-up play and the chance creation. In this formation, I like to go with long ball and possession. The possession kind of like speaks for itself. You know, I like to play possession in these styles of formations. You know, like when I'm using the 4-2-2 or the 5-2-1-2, I think it's more important to use something like direct passing. You know, you need a little bit more chance creation. But in this sort of formation, because you don't have sort of left and right wingers, you don't have left and right cams, it's left and right mid. So it's slightly, the setup naturally is a bit more defensive. So therefore, of course, you want to get forwards at a better pace, you know, not quite as quickly. So possession is more important. You've got to be a little bit more slower, more patient with your build-up. But when you get into that final third, the long ball is super important. And that's why we alluded to the strikers generally being a bit quicker, the left and right midfielders having that pace, so that when those balls in behind for those midfielders, that Fofana and Thuram, are able to then play those balls over the top when those guys make the run. So that combo really works super well. And then the width, we've brought that down to 55. I normally like to use sort of 65, 70, but again, in this formation, I'd rather be a little bit more compact. It's more about keeping that center of the pitch a little bit more compact and harder to break down. So I've just brought that into 55, and that will just alleviate some of the issues that I had, you know, with giving up a little bit more space in the midfield. Obviously, you know, a little bit detrimental because I didn't have as much space out wide, but I was still able to create plenty of chances and just have a hell of a lot of fun with this team. And then players in the box, I've got on 6, just so I want those midfielders, Thuram and Fofana, just making sure they're on that edge of the box, making sure that they can break up the play. And then we can sustain those attacks and really put pressure on our opponents. And then corners and free kicks, generally it's whatever you prefer. I prefer to have 3. Sometimes I whip the ball in, sometimes I go short. But that is it for this 4-4-1-1 custom tactic and instructions combo. And this is just like I said, it's a super good formation. Now, for me, I love to use the 5-2-1-2. I love to use the 4-2-2. There's some other formations that I really like, but this is a formation that I make sure I always go back to every now and again. When I want a bit of a change and I look at the formations, think, right, what do I have going? This is just one of those formations that every time I go back to it, always just surprises me. I play with this formation a lot in draft. I think that's why I like this formation so much. Obviously, with the draft objectives that are out right now, I get this formation a lot. And whenever I get this formation, I just cruise to draft wins. So it's just a really good formation. I don't concede a lot of goals. I create a lot of chances. I score plenty. You know, don't give up too many chances and just have a lot of fun doing it, which ultimately is the point of the game. So like we said earlier in the video, if you do want to continue to support us, it would really help us out if you did give us a like. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button too, and make sure you click that notifications bell. And if you do want to ask us any further questions regarding FIFA or anything with teams or whatnot, let us know down in the comments. And also make sure you join our Discord. The link to that is down in the description. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you